Brewery travelers, welcome back. I'm here today with my lovely wife Barbara. We're going to do installment number 2 on our I10 series. But yeah, we had questions about this one, Barb, because I10, but we're going to Jacksonville.
Yeah, I10 originates on the eastern side in Jacksonville, and so we went to a couple of breweries right there.
Well, and I was thinking that either you're beginning or ending your trip on I10 in Jacksonville, but then I thought, well, hold on. What if you're going to go to 95 and head south to Daytona? That'd be fun. And the rail yard district where these two breweries are is right there close to 95 and I-10.
Less than 3 miles off of I-10, both of the breweries, and less than a mile apart.
Yeah, which was very nice. We went to Tabula Rasa first. Remember that?
Yes.
What did you think of those guys?
Well, it was a neat place. I mean, very well appointed, lots of interesting artwork and things like that. Very interesting place. The beer was good. The
beer was good, and I'll tell you this, also notable because every beer, the ABVs were moderate to low. Mm-hmm. I even had, I'm going to skip forward, I even had a Scotch Ale, which I love the style. It was 5.0. Scotch Ales are usually in the upper 7s, 8s, even higher. 5.
Right. And I had a chocolate stout that was absolutely phenomenal.
That was a good beer.
Delicious beer.
Yeah, that was.
And it was in the 5s.
Good. But anyway, go in there. There's a nice menu. Not a big place.
The inside was relatively small, but the outside was tremendous.
Oh.
It had a huge outdoor area.
It was very, very large. Creek running along the side, and there were different areas. How many seating areas do you think were back there?
3 or 4 at least. We sat on a little porch, a little wooden deck,
right.
And then there was a fire pit area and a couple of other seating areas outside where you could have a little bit of separation if you had a group that you wanted to be with.
Mm-hmm. They had a tank kind of off to the side in the back. I don't know what it was for, if it's for anything, but it was had become an art object.
Right.
And they even had a wooden sculpture.
A wooden sculpture of a bicycle. It was very impressive.
That was cool, man.
Extremely large. It was at least 6 feet tall, maybe a little taller than that, and probably 8 to 10 feet long. Very large sculpture of a bicycle.
The other thing that was going on there the next day, not the day but the next day, was they were going to have a Christmas tree bonfire.
Right. We were there about a week or so after Christmas, and they had offered to people, if you wanted to recycle your Christmas tree, to bring it there, and then they were going to have a huge bonfire on Sunday.
Which, that could have been fun. And with good beer and low ABV beer, you could have stayed and drank the whole time it was burning.
They had well over 100 trees collected already, and more coming.
Hopefully we have a picture of that mound of Christmas trees.
Oh,
it was pretty impressive. And then we had a beer or two there, and then went around the corner. It turned out to be right around the corner to a brewery called Lemonstreet.
That's right. Now, Tabula Rasa did not offer food, except for they did have a small pizza that you could get, but the bartender told us they were frozen. But
frozen pizza,
they did look good.
Yeah.
Frozen pizza.
No, they did.
Looked pretty good. But dogs were welcome inside, outside, wherever when we were there.
Yep.
And yes, then we moved on to Lemonstreet because they had a full menu there.
Of Cuban food, and I got to tell you, the Cuban sandwiches and the arroz con pollo that we had were fantastic.
And empanadas. I mean, Florida is Cuban food is a staple of Florida, and so it's something to go and do if you're interested in Cuban food at all. This place was really, really good, and it was just a small little cubbyhole in the brewery.
It was almost like having a food truck inside.
Right. They contracted it out to the owner of the Cuban kitchen,
Yep.
and they were completely separate entities from running a tap and all of that, but they melded well together.
And now the menu here, the beer menu, was pretty extensive. I mean, there's a lot of, there's
Very extensive,
20
yeah.
20 different beers.
Yeah.
And I think in our trip or two and flights and all the other stuff, we've tried probably half of them. And
Probably, yeah. And you can get some to go in a can.
which I'm going to talk about in a minute. The Electric Slide is one of the best beers I've ever had. They brew it there, but they don't have it on draft. Apparently, they send the kegs out to whoever's canning this for them. But this is a good brewery. They do a lot of good beers, and we could walk through the different beers we had, but a lot of them were low to moderate ABV.
Right. I had the Marzen. We've been there a couple of times. I've had it each time we've been there, and it's a 5.0, and it's got a very good flavor. It's not a terribly dark Marzen, but it's quite good.
It is good. The 4.9% Lemonstreet lager, very pleasant, very solid lager. Nothing out of the ordinary, but really well done. They did have a blood orange Pilsner. You remember that one?
That was my favorite. it was in the mid fives.
Mid fives.
But the blood orange Pilsner was my favorite.
It was good beer. They had a Doppelbock, and I've only tasted it, but they had a Doppelbock called the Collaborator, 9%.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It's a big boy, but I gotta tell you, fabulous. If you could take a 9%er, it's worth every ounce. Now, there was stuff to do there. It wasn't just big space outside like at Tabula Rasa. It was a lot of different areas to this place.
It was quite busy too. A lot of families there, a lot of things for kids to do too.
Yes.
There were arcade games. There was a big cornhole area, all indoors. And Lemonstreet had no outdoor seating, nothing outdoors at all.
And because of that, you might think, well, we can't have dogs, but you can. You can have dogs inside there.
Right. The food truck contract, kitchen area didn't seem to be held to the same restrictions as a actual restaurant would have.
But in addition to seating areas and then a cafeteria style area with arcade games and then cornhole and all that, the place was broken up pretty good.
They had a nice dart playing area with 2 lanes, 2 dartboards. That stayed busy the whole time.
There
Pool
was
table was occupied.
There was some hooting and hollering going on at the dart table, the dartboard. That was kind of fun to watch. But the beer's good.
They also had a little private room, and
they did.
It had a door and everything. You could go in there if you wanted to get away from any noise or crowds or anything like that.
They did. This was a wonderful stop, especially if you want a good Cuban sandwich. This is a great stop. If you do go, I encourage you to get a 4-pack of pint-size Electric Slide on the way out. That's fabulous beer. Okay, what's coming up next? I think our next trip, we may try to get up to Atlanta this spring. We're hoping, fingers crossed. We know we're going to be back on I10 going to Houston in April.
Right.
We'll have our next I10 series show
shortly after that.
Till then, cheers.
Cheers.